Have you ever felt busy the whole day, but at the end of the day, you feel like nothing really moved forward? Or even sometimes, you're so deeply involved in something that you miss something important. It's not about what you're doing, it's about whether you are aware while doing an activity. Welcome to Inner Quest Healing Talks, conversations for stress to bliss. I'm your host, Ravindra Murthy. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most important shifts in your life, from being unaware to becoming aware. Yes, this shift can change how you feel, how you think, and how you act. Let's start with a simple truth. Most people think they have a focus problem, but the truth is, they have an awareness problem. So, what does it mean by being unaware? So, being unaware means you don't notice what you're doing, you don't notice how you're feeling, you don't notice where your attention is going, because where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So let me give an example of distraction. So you open your phone, you start scrolling some reels, and 5 minutes becomes 30 minutes, 30 minutes becomes 60 minutes. You miss an important meeting. You didn't decide it consciously, it just happened. And this is an example of distraction or unaware distraction because you did not do consciously. Similarly, let me give another example: deep work. Let me share what I did one day in my work. I had a deadline and I was working all through the day in the morning till lunch. And I knew I had an important client meeting at 2:30 p.m. So I wrapped up and finished my lunch and came back around 2:10 to my workstation. My Outlook also gave a reminder about the meeting at exactly 2:15. I closed the reminder, and since I had 15 minutes, I started working on my project, thinking that I will log into the meeting exactly at 2:30. Can you guess what happened? Yes, when I realized about the meeting, it was already 3 p.m. and my client had cancelled the meeting after waiting for me. In this case, I was fully focused on some productive work as compared to a distraction in the previous example. So, because of the productive work, I was engrossed and time passed and I was not aware of the time and I missed an important meeting. At the surface, this looks productive. However, in both cases, the problem is same: lack of awareness. Yes, it's not about scrolling or working on a project. It's about whether you are aware while doing something. So you might ask me, Ravi, what do you mean by becoming aware? So let me tell you what becoming aware actually means. So becoming aware means you start noticing in the moment, which means you are in the current moment, what we generally call as presence of time. You are scrolling and suddenly you notice, I'm wasting time. Or you're working and you notice you have a meeting in 5 minutes. And that moment gives you a choice of what you want to do, whether you have to stop scrolling and focus on some productive work, or you stop your work and attend the meeting. So this awareness is very powerful, because without awareness, you drift and sometimes you react or even you miss important things, as I did. However, with awareness, you choose and act consciously, and you stay in control. So when your mind is overloaded, your attention generally gets scattered and your awareness reduces. And that's why you tend to switch between tasks, you forget things, or even sometimes miss critical commitments. Awareness creates space between what is happening currently and what you do next. And in that space, a magic happens, and that is transformation. And this is why the first step of the 3A model is self-awareness. Or in other words, we can just call awareness. And what is the difference between awareness and self-awareness? There could be a question. I will answer to that question in my next episode. Because without awareness, if you don't notice, you cannot change. So start asking yourself, what am I doing right now? And am I aware of what I'm doing, or am I drifting away? And these two questions can bring you back. So the ideal state is not just focus on some activity or not just productivity, but becoming aware of where you are focusing, where is your attention, and being present. If this episode resonates with you, share it with someone who you truly care. And you feel like either distracted or overloaded and still not in control, then remember, your first step is not to do more. It is to become aware. This is your host Ravindra Murthy. Thank you for joining me today. Take a breath, take it slow, and remember, bliss begins within.